Moving right along, we're going to take a peek at the Parity tab. And let's actually take a look at the graph view first. There is a graph and a table view here as well. But when we look here, there are a few things, right? We've got an overview page, actual Parity tab itself, and then we'll look at the optional point of sale add-on we took a look at in another video as well, which will fall in the settings, but apply here. Let's start with the overview. So here we are in the overview. Looks like the little graph icon here at the top. And the first thing you might notice is there's actually no date selector. So where that normally falls, you'll see here it's the next 60 days. This information is available for the next 30, 60, or 90 days based on the subscription that this customer set up. And it's also dependent upon the parameters that the data is based upon. So you can see here, in this case, the subscription's default parameters are 1 night, 2 guests, and that's going to be based on those parameters. We also see 2 categories here, and they're color-coded. So estimated loss, estimated win. And then whenever you see anything in orange, we're talking about the win. So orange, that's win. Anything in red, we're talking about the loss. So when we talk about loss and win, and there's a definition here too, if you ever want to point your team members to it, they can hover over this information icon. Or of course, it's also in our help center as well. But normally the benchmark, or the way the loss and win are calculated, are by looking at and establishing a benchmark. And normally that benchmark that we're going to look at is the hotel's own website. So that's mainly because those are the ones that are listed directly by the property. So we count those as the most direct channel available. If that's not available, we look at other channels like Booking.com or Expedia or anything that's considered the next most major and direct way for this hotel to make a profit. Normally, this information is compared against brand.com. So we look at brand.com rates, and then we compare any other rates found on various channels on the same date. So let's have a look at what this means exactly. So we can see here that the estimated loss in this particular case is $5,643. And then if we look at the categories that are found here, we see that most of the loss is coming from wholesalers. So you can see most of this $5,000 loss is coming from wholesalers. And then the rest comes from major OTAs, non-refundable things not on brand.com, makes a small portion, but really mainly wholesalers. So if we click on this, we'll see a little bit more in detail what actually entails here. So we can see a list of dates and when the losses were found, the source of the source channel. So dates the loss was found, the source channel we found it on. And this is usually a meta search of where the losses were found. So it can be Google, TripAdvisor, Trivago, OTA that listed it. And then of course the price comparison itself. So OTA that listed it, hotel rate, OTA rate, you can clearly see that loss. And then the amount. And if we want to see a live view, we can go right to it as well. So this can be helpful for troubleshooting in particular. You can also see details expanding out or in and the number of issues here. Now we're going to take a look at the point of sale and see what it actually means. So you'll see the words POS if it's not talking about LOS, length of stay, it's meaning point of sale. And that's the perspective from which a certain rate was found. So normally we shop rates from the default point of sale. That would be the country where the hotel is situated or the nearest country that we support. Let's take a peek. In this particular case, this country default is Canada. And we can see another one, I think we looked at a little bit ago, where the default is the US. Yep, United States. So another thing, if they want to see different rates from different countries, they can add them here. If the point of sale is added to y'all's contract, your subscription, they can add up to 3 other locations as well. So that can be helpful because if they want to see the other countries on top of their default, they can also get a good overview when they come back to the strategy module. So, oops. I mean, parity module, sorry. Here we are. So we'll be able to see a little bit more here, what's going on each of the channels, especially when we go over to the actual parity tab. All right. So once we look at the actual parity tab as well, this table view, we can see more information as well in a breakdown. So by date, so very similar, but there's more filters available here. Note that the default is the lowest. I know on the rates page, the default is typically best flex or the bar rate. Notice that this does default to lowest. That said, it can be changed to best flex if that's desired. But usually lowest is what we're looking at Parity. We're seeing, who's undercutting us, maybe gathering some information for those wholesalers, some proof of where perhaps we're seeing certain OTAs sell to wholesalers, and we can point that out to them. From here, just one thing to note too is that on the Parity tab, I can refresh my rates. If I do that, it does apply to the rates tab as well. So just keep that in mind. Live Shop here will also refresh the rates tab and throughout Rate Insight as well. And we can see the breakdown of brand.com, booking.com, Expedia, Priceline, and then lowest rate on meta search. So one thing about the Parity tab, here we can see, for example, for today, the 10th of December, makes sense. This place is listing their events there. We can click on this lowest rate search. We can check it out. And here it is, 41. If it doesn't match up, sometimes it's because once they add all the taxes, fees, it adds right back up to what you all are offering as well. So call that a little bit of a bait and switch, something to keep in mind if a customer mentions that. But you can see exactly where the rate is pulling from online, which is where we're pulling from here. So lowest rates, click on it, check it out. Any of the other rates from the OTAs, or well, that was a brand.com. The rates that this particular location has listed on brand.com, we can pull right to as well.